Experience sharing, huh? I had an experience once. And it lost me this eye! Not really. But that's not to say I didn't have quite the experience. What is it, you may ask? Well, I watched every Godzilla film. Here's how it went. I decided I would watch them all in order, and as you can see, there's a lot of them. Now, the reason I'm watching them all in order is so I can see just how much the movies improve from 1954 to 2021. Seeing the improvements in the costumes for the monsters, the sound design, etc. With that out of the way, I still have 37 movies to watch. So I guess I better get started. But first, why am I doing this? Well, my love for Godzilla began when I was a mere child. It would blow my mind to see this giant radioactive lizard wreak havoc on screen. His roar, his scales, his ability to shoot plasma. I mean, what's not to love? Truthfully, this is something I've always wanted to do, and have even attempted in the past. But those attempts were always poorly planned and never really thought out. But this time, I swear it to be different. I'm going to watch every Godzilla film in order, starting with Godzilla in 1954 and ending with Godzilla vs. Kong. With that said, there's nothing left to do but get started. At this point, the task of watching 37 Godzilla movies was still fun and exciting to me. It didn't take very long before I realized just how much 37 movies actually is. I mean, we're talking hours, no, days of doing nothing but watch Godzilla. What was I thinking? Honestly, I'm not too sure. But I had a goal in mind, and nothing was going to stop me from accomplishing this goal. Alright, I'm currently 5 movies into this endeavor, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, the early movies are great. I mean, the first 2 are great. Movie number 5, there's some wackiness in there. So there's a scene where Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra are all talking, and they're arguing about whether or not they should just keep fighting each other because who cares, or if they should team up against Ghidorah. And then we get to hear what the monsters are saying, which is pretty crazy. Something that I'm not used to seeing in a Godzilla movie, but yeah, that's just a little update. Now, out of curiosity, I decided to check the list again. Not the same list I had been using on my phone, but venturing out and looking at other resources. And there it was, staring at me in plain sight. Update. We got an update here. Apparently, the list of movies I've been using is wrong. It's just not in the right order. So I've just been watching like 3 movies that are just out of order. So I gotta watch Godzilla King of Monsters, because that came out in the 50s. I didn't know that came out in the 50s. I'm watching the movies in the 60s now. We got some work to do. Luckily, I was still early on in this adventure, and this was nothing more than a minor inconvenience. Admittedly, I was a little panicked, but I certainly had no time to waste, so I just went barreling straight into the next movie. I'm currently 11 movies in. I'm beginning to feel tired, fatigued, very worn down from watching these movies back to back to back. But, I still have 20-something to go, so there's no time for breaks. I just remembered something. I just remembered that, there's a Japanese version for King Kong vs. Godzilla and an American version, which means that's another movie I need to watch. But that also got me thinking, how many other versions exist out there of these films? And adding more movies to this list would mean I would be seriously behind schedule. Behind schedule? Well, how could you be behind schedule? I mean, you're just watching movies, Granted, it's a lot of them, but where's the schedule? Well, there's something I haven't told you yet. This entire video, this whole project, all of it, is for an assignment. That's right, everyone. This whole project is an assignment. An assignment which is due on Sunday. Now, today is Friday, which means I have exactly 3 days to finish 25 movies and rendering this entire video. So that's why I'm behind schedule. Now, hopefully, I can get an extension on the deadline. But we can't always rely on those, which means I have to work very hard now. And work hard I did. Step 1, research. To find out how many extra films I actually needed to watch. Good news, the potential problem of adding more movies to the watch list has been avoided. As long as I continue to watch the Japanese versions, which is what I have been doing, then I'll be fine. The English versions, they just shorten and censor things. So, there's no need to add those movies to the list. So, just still 20 plus movies to go. Step 2, waste away and watch even more movies. I mean, look at this guy, gremlin. You know, I've been doing nothing but watch Godzilla for the past few days, so I think I owe it to myself to get a nice breath of fresh air. So, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so I'm never doing that again. These Godzilla movies are so full of surprises. One minute you'll get some hilarious quotable line, and the next minute you'll get pure horror. Update, everyone. I have just received confirmation on the extension. It is currently Sunday, which means that now I have until Tuesday night, exactly to finish this assignment, which is huge. Very good. So that'll take the weight off my shoulders a little bit. I also wanted to take this time to say that I'm like 25 movies in, which is good progress until you realize that still means you have 12 movies to watch. So, you know, I still have some work to do, but we're making good progress. God, I just finished watching Godzilla Final Wars. That was the worst one yet. It's so painfully long. The acting is terrible. I can't describe what I just went through, but luckily it's over. The worst is certainly behind me. There will be only good movies ahead. So that's good. Alright, I'm 30 movies in. I'm down to the final home stretch. I've got brain rot already going strong. One thing I will say, though, is that it has been very cool to see the progression of the films, you know, like the monster designs, the sound design, the visual effects. It has been really cool to see that evolve over time to the last 30 movies, and it's only going to get better from here. Also, another problem that comes with watching these movies is that not all of them are on streaming services, which means I have to use other means to watch them. Yeah. Back to the movies. I've made a serious blunder. I apologize. I have completely forgotten about Matthew Broderick's Godzilla. I don't know how that one could have slipped my mind. But but it did, and I'm going to correct this mistake by watching this movie now immediately. And yes, I hope you can forgive me this silly error I made. But I will fix this. Now that I have corrected this blunder of mine, we can resume your regularly scheduled program. Here I was, nearing the end of my long and frivolous journey, full of the good, the bad, and the ugly. All the hours, and all the days, all the Godzilla, all but one remained. And so it was time. I was staring at my final movie face to face with my last 2 brain cells barely keeping me alive. The only thing left was for me to cross the finish line. Finally, victory was mine. I ventured where no man before me has ever dared to go, and I lived to tell the tale. I could gaze upon the beauty of nature once more as I knew my quest was over. I had climbed the Everest of Godzilla films, and my journey was finally complete. So, what's the point? Why did I really do this? Nowadays, people are so obsessed with the next bigger is better thing, and people are too quick to disregard the old Godzilla movies claiming they're bad just because they're old, or they aren't up to today's standards for visual effects. But I'm here to tell you that you're missing the bigger picture. Now, that's not to say that the old Godzilla movies are perfect, because they're not. And that's what's so great about these movies. They paved the way for the Godzilla we know and love today. Those movies weren't afraid to get experimental with the monsters and storylines because they still poured their soul into what they made, while still staying true to what the fans wanted. And that's to see Godzilla on the big screen. So after watching all 37 Godzilla films, which one do I think is the best, and which one do I think is the worst? Well, I'll start with the worst. The worst is definitely Godzilla Final Wars, as it drags on for way too long, and the acting is, for the most part, pretty bad. When it comes to the best, that title goes to Godzilla King of Monsters, which came out in 2019. It just has everything you want in a Godzilla film, and it definitely holds the spot for number 1. I hope I've inspired you to not just shame a movie for being a few decades old, but instead look at these films with a new sense of appreciation. The only thing left now is to watch every Godzilla television series.